Good morning and welcome to day 91 northbound on the Appalachian Trail. Had a very good night at Rocky Run Shelter. Definitely made the right choice. When I got to the shelter, I was the only one there. A few minutes later, Stiles, a young man from Oregon, showed up and we were just chatting a little bit. And he was going to try to make it to the Dahlberg campground. And then the gentleman who we saw, or the tent that we saw that was sort of in the puddle, he came out of his tent, came into the shelter, and told us that he had walked all the way to the Dahlberg campsite, which was a mile, almost 2 miles north, to find out that it was full. So, both Stiles and I did a couple of fist bumps as we were at first disappointed that we didn't walk all the way or hike all the way there in the rain, but then realized we would have had to walk back because it was full. So definitely made the right choice. Rain Man came. He's hiking with Stiles, so he was there too. And the guy, I'm sorry, the section hiker who was in the tent that was in a puddle, I don't remember your name, I'm sorry. But he came and slept in the shelter. I think we kind of encouraged him because he would have had a much better night in the shelter than in his puddled tent, and he agreed. Hitman from Berlin came in late, but he did come in and had some dinner. And he's on a good pace to finish before his visa's up. So it was a nice night. We sat around the table and had our dinner and spoke to the section hiker, again, whose name I don't remember, who is working on, he's going to be a through hiker next year. So he's doing what's called a shakedown hike, working on his equipment and trying to figure out what works best and what doesn't. And he learned last night where to pitch a tent and where not to pitch a tent when it's raining. And if it's raining, maybe decide to sleep in the shelter. So, but it was really fun because he reminded me of me last year when I did some shakedown hikes in the White Mountains and how I would ask through hikers tons of questions. And we just sat around and answered his questions, and everybody had a little different answer, but everybody just sort of helped him with his preparation for next year. So that was really, really fun. And he had some questions that are for guys regarding chafing and stuff, and so the men were able to give him lots of advice on that. So it was a nice night. It rained all through while we were eating dinner, and then it didn't rain at all during the night. And then this morning when we were all packing up, it rained. Now it kind of tapered, but I've got my rain jacket on. We've got our pack covers on. Forecast is for on and off rain today. So that's the story. So we're hiking in the rain today, and Micah's not very thrilled, but you know, c'est la vie, we have to hike in the rain. It's not cold, so I was actually contemplating not wearing this rain jacket because right now I'm climbing a little bit and I'm pretty warm, but that's all right. I might take it off. I've got my umbrella ready, but it's not up because right now it's just drippy for the trees. So hopefully it'll stay mild and it'll just be a light rain today. But boy, yeah, there were thunderstorms while we were cooking dinner last night. So most of those guys are doing 20-25 miles today. They are significantly younger than I am. In fact, I'm old enough to be their mother, probably grandmother. But so my options today, I have a 15 and a half mile day to Ensign shelter is one choice. And then I have a 19.8 mile day to a shelter past that. My guess is I'll probably do the 15 miler. That'll probably work for me. So I might stop at the campground up ahead just to fill up on water. And there is a bathroom there, but it's only 1.5 miles away, or almost 2 miles. So anyway, today is Thursday, I think. Yes, today is Thursday. I hope you're all having a wonderful Thursday, and I'll check in a little later. All right, take care. Bye. This is a memorial for General Samuel Garland and General Jesse Reno, both who died in the war. And it's just passing right through, right on the Appalachian Trail. Little memorials here. People can walk the Civil War trails in Maryland and hit all these spots, all these historical spots, just by walking through them. Very cool. Kind of like in Boston. So this is Nikki and Keith from Pittsburgh. Hi there.
Hi.
I was just passing by and they were in a car and said they were going to set up trail magic. So I went to the ladies' room and here we are.
Here we are.
Doing trail magic. Wow. Excellent. Thank you so much, you guys.
Oh my gosh, you're so
This
welcome.
is such a
You're
blessing.
so welcome.
I'm in the Washington Monument State Park, and there's a campground around here. There's water, there's bathrooms, and of course, wonderful trail magic. Thank you again. A couple from Pittsburgh, fabulous. And I'm going to be walking up this trail, which is on the Appalachian Trail, which apparently leads right to the Washington Monument. So we'll see what that's all about. And then there's little information, wooden structures here, milestones in the life of Washington. He was born in 1732 in Westmoreland County, Virginia. And then I think there's more up here. He was a surveyor of the Culpeper County, Virginia in 1749, 1753 to 1758, officer in the French and Indian War. 1759, he marries Martha Custis. 1758 to 1774, he was the member of the Virginia House of Burgesses. In 1774, he was the Virginia delegate to the First Continental Congress, and in 1775 appointed Commander-in-Chief. In 1776, he loses New York to British Declaration sign. And 1777, British occupy Philadelphia, winter at Valley Forge. That famous winter at Valley Forge. In 1781, British surrender at Yorktown. 1783, British recognize American independence. 1789, Federal Constitution ratified, and Washington becomes president. Bum, bum, ba-dum, bum, ba-dum, 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 bum. In 1797, he leaves the presidency, and in 1799, he dies at Mount Vernon. Washington Monument. Volunteer villagers of nearby Boonesboro celebrated their Independence Day, July 4th, 1827, by building and dedicating this first monument to the memory of George Washington. Repaired and altered many times over 100 years by patriotic citizens, it was finally restored to its original design in 1934-36 by the Civilian Conservation Corps. This monument, used by the Union Army during the Civil War as a signal station, and its surrounding land was brought by the Washington County Historical Society in 1922 and presented to the state of Maryland for park development in 1934. This massive structure was certified a Maryland Historical Monument in March of 1972 and a National Historical Monument in November of 1972. And that's it. Wow. Super cool. And there's a view around the side, which we're going to take a look at on the back. And this is the view from the back of the monument. Absolutely beautiful. Sometimes the trail comes out of the woods and goes behind somebody's house in a residential area. Oh, what have we here? We have some blackberries. Ooh, excuse me while I take a moment. Well, I had to take a little blackberry picking break. Some of them are ripe, but most of them aren't. But I got a few. I got a few yummy ones. And sometimes the Appalachian Trail goes over a major highway, which we are going over right now. Wow. Who knew? I had no idea. I knew I was going to be crossing a road, but I didn't know I'd be crossing a major highway. Wow. More locks of love. Cool. We've been stopped at the Pine Knob shelter, and we're going to have a little lunch here. I'm having my usual roll up with chicken, and this was from Trail Magic that I was able to take with me, which was so nice, and some gorp, some dates, and this will be lunch. We got some water, and we're just going to stay here a few minutes and then mosey on. We have about 7.5 more miles if we decide to stop at the next shelter, which is probably likely. Otherwise, we have total of 19.5 miles. So I don't know. We'll see how we feel. It's still pretty early. It's only 1:30, and the terrain is not difficult. So we'll see. So I'm just leaving the shelter now, where we had lunch, which was, which was lovely. And I was talking to a woman and her daughter, her 14-year-old daughter, and they're backpacking together. And she told me that last night, which is very interesting because last night at the shelter, a bunch of us were getting warnings on our phones about tornado warnings in the area. And so she asked me, where did you sleep last night? And I said, well, I slept at the shelter, and I told her where. And she said there were several homes that were damaged by the tornado in this area of Maryland. I mean, we had heard about the warnings, but we didn't know that it was serious. Well, I'm glad we were in the shelter. Gosh. There was one guy tenting, but he came in really late, so I think by the time he was, tented, it was probably past. But no, I mean, we had rain, but it was safe in the shelter. So, phew, that was good. Anyway, we've got 8.3 miles to go. It's 1:45. We had a nice, relaxing lunch at the shelter, and it was nice talking to this woman and her 14-year-old. And I understand the terrain for the next few miles is not difficult, so Maryland has been very gentle on us so far, and very historic. All right, so I hope you're all having a great Thursday, and I'll check back in a few once I get closer to the shelter. Well, we're heading towards I think another icon. I'll let you know. Bye. Even in Maryland, the mountain laurel are lining the trail. They are so beautiful. Okay, well, we made it to the Ensign Coswell shelter, and much further than I thought. Something was miscalculated. I thought I was doing 15.5 miles today. Well, I wound up 17.5 to get here. So I'm not sure how that happened. I know that because I stayed at the shelter last night as opposed to the campground because it was raining, that I had another 1.5 miles. So that would have been 15.5. So, but somehow 17.5 is what I did today. I know I did a couple of blue blazes to see the Washington Monument, but that was only like 0.2. So I don't know, something miscalculated, either the AWOL guide or far out. I have no idea. Anyway, 17.5 miles is what we did today, and I was tired at the end. It was a long day, and there was some ups, but pretty much the terrain was very forgiving. So we came to this shelter area, and we are all set up over there. And I'm going to go down to the shelter now, and there's one other guy that was there when I came. He's sleeping in the shelter, but I definitely wanted to sleep in my tent tonight. And the water source is 0.3 away, so we got to take a little walk to the spring. I actually passed it on the way here, but I thought there was a spring closer to the shelter, but I guess there's not, but that's okay. So we're going to go do that and then cook. Hope you're all having a great Thursday.